Hello students, myself Professor P.B. Sargade. Today we will discuss about common human diseases, and in that we will discuss about two major diseases, malaria and amoebiasis. The disease is defined as condition of disturbed or deranged functioning of one or more organs or organ systems of the body, caused due to infections, defective diet, or heredity. All human diseases can be broadly categorized into congenital diseases and acquired diseases. Congenital diseases are present from birth. They may be caused by genetic abnormality or metabolic disorder. The acquired diseases develop after the birth and can be subdivided into point number A, communicable or infectious diseases, and B, non communicable diseases or non infectious diseases. The diseases which are transmitted from infected person to another healthy person, either directly or indirectly, are known as communicable or infectious diseases. Malaria is an example of communicable disease. The diseases that cannot be transmitted from infected person to another healthy one, either directly or indirectly, are known as non communicable or non infectious diseases. Examples: cancer and deficiency diseases are the examples. The communicable diseases are caused by pathogens like viruses, bacteria, fungi, helminth, worms, etc. All the disease causing organisms are called as pathogens. Today we will discuss about the disease malaria. But before discussing the malaria, we should know the term vector and parasite. Many pathogens use another organism, the vector, to reach us. These vectors are actually parasites which we regularly come across. And parasite is an organism that lives in or on the body of another organism and derives its nutrition from that of host organism. Parasites are of two categories. First is the ectoparasite and the second is endoparasite. And the example of endoparasite uh, we are discussing today is Plasmodium, and it is a protozoan endoparasite which causes malaria, and it acts through a vector. The vector is mosquito and the second host is human being. Now we will discuss about the malaria. Malaria is a vector, that is mosquito borne infectious disease caused by a protist, Plasmodium. When we consider the causative organism Plasmodium, there are four species of Plasmodium as Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium ovale, Plasmodium malariae, and Plasmodium falciparum. Only Plasmodium falciparum causes serious illness, while others are rarely fatal. And based on the species, there are four types of malaria. Now, which species of Plasmodium and their incubation period and patterns of high fever? The as discussed earlier, the species of Plasmodium, Plasmodium vivax, it shows incubation period. Now, what is incubation period? It is the time interval from the invasion of a pathogen to the development of clinical manifestations is known as incubation period. It means when the pathogen enters in the body, it directly not shows the symptoms properly, but it takes some time, and that period from entry of pathogen to the symptoms, it is known as incubation period. Now the Plasmodium vivax has incubation period of 14 days and the patterns of high fever after 48 hours interval. The Plasmodium malaria, it takes 28 days incubation period and high fever after 72 hours interval. Plasmodium ovale takes 17 days incubation period and high fever after 48 hours of interval. Plasmodium falciparum, it shows incubation period of 12 days and high fever is at regular intervals between 22 to 48 hours. Now this was about the different species, their incubation period and patterns of high fever in the malarial disease. Now next is signs and symptoms of malaria. We have discussed about the species of Plasmodium. Now we will discuss about the signs and symptoms of malaria. Symptoms of malaria begin to appear about 7 to 15 days after the bite of infective mosquito. Initial symptoms are fever, headache and chills. There may be difficulty to recognize it as malaria. Classical symptoms of malaria is cyclic occurrence of high fever followed by sweating and sudden shivering. Such entire episode lasts for 4 to 6 hours and recurs every 2 days or 3 days. The another symptom is vomiting and convulsions and arthralgia. It is joint pain in the patient's body. Another is anemia due to rupturing of RBCs. In malaria, the RBCs are ruptured after the infection of Plasmodium vivax. When it is injected by the infected mosquito inside the human body, the RBCs are ruptured and it causes anemia. Then the next symptom and sign is hemoglobinuria, hepatomegaly. It is the enlargement of the liver and retinal damage. This is rare, but it occurs when there is very high degree of infection in that patient. It is the retinal damage is to the eye. And last and the most fatal, or we can say dangerous, is the cerebral malaria, which is the brain infection. Now we will see about the stages in the life cycle of Plasmodium in mosquito and human. As we discussed earlier, the mosquito is the vector and the main pathogen is Plasmodium. So how the cyclic manner occurs and the two hosts, first the vector mosquito and the second human being, how they are infected and how the human being suffers from malaria. We will discuss very broadly. Now the mode of transmission, you are able to see the diagram of life cycle of Plasmodium mosquito and human. Now what happens? Plasmodium is transmitted from one person to other through an insect vector, as we discussed earlier, female Anopheles mosquito. When infected female Anopheles sucks the human blood, it may transfer sporozoites. What happens? If that female is infected, it may transfer sporozoites to human circulation, that means blood circulation. Sporozoites reproduce asexually through fission. This fission you are able to see in the diagram. This fission is called as schizogony in the liver cells or erythrocytes. The cells formed are now called as merozoites. Now the cells which are formed, they are called as merozoites. You are able to see in the diagram. The cells formed within erythrocytes function as gametocytes gamogony. Besides, it forms gametocytes within erythrocytes. What happens? They forms gametocytes within erythrocytes. It is also termed as gamogony. Gametocytes, if taken up by female Anopheles, fertilization occurs in its gut and the diploid zygote is formed which transforms into oocyst. We are able to see the oocyst formation here, and the oocyst form large number of haploid sporozoites. Now this oocyst is capable to form large number of haploid sporozoites through meiosis. We all know meiosis. It is the reduction division and it is also termed as sporogony. The sporozoites now migrate to salivary glands and are ready to infect new human host. These sporozoites they go to the salivary glands of mosquito and again the cycle repeats how the mosquito bites the person, healthy person, and these sporozoites which are now present in the saliva of mosquito are injected while sucking the blood of that human being inside the human body, and the infection of malaria occurs here. Now we will move towards the diagnosis and treatment. Malaria can be diagnosed. Now there are different methods to diagnose malaria nowadays. The malaria can diagnose by microscopic study of blood smear. The blood smear is prepared and it is observed under the microscope, and the parasite can be seen under the microscope. Besides, other rapid diagnostic tests. Now rapid diagnostic tests are appeared in the medical field since last few years. These tests are based on nucleic acid amplification techniques, and they are very accurate and they can show the infection clearly to the doctors. The treatment of malaria includes artemisinin based combination therapies. It is called as ACTs. The World Health Organization or WHO has recommended 5 different ACTs. What are ACTs? Artemisinin based combination therapies, which includes various combinations of artesunate, sulfadoxine, pyrimethylamine, etc. And also in addition, quinine is also used. Now these are the drugs and other treatment methods which are used in the malaria. Now we come to the last point in malaria, prevention and control. We discuss about the life cycle of mosquito in the body, life cycle of plasmodium in the body of mosquito and human being, and the formation of malarial disease to the healthy human being. Now we will discuss about the prevention and control. The prevention of mosquito bite, the first preventive measure is the prevention of mosquito bite by using mosquito nets and insect repellents. The second preventive measure is spraying insecticides and draining stagnant water where mosquito lay eggs. And the last preventive measure is mosquito larvae can be controlled by using Gambusia freshwater fish. This is the biocontrol method. I think all of you understood the diseases, common human diseases, and in that we study malaria. Now the second disease is amoebiasis. The amoebiasis is also known as amoebic dysentery. It's a common infection of human gastrointestinal tract which affects 15% of population in India, and this is a much larger amount when we consider the developed nations across the world. Now you are able to see the life cycle of Entamoeba histolytica, and before seeing the life cycle we must know that Amoebiasis is caused by a protist parasite. The name of that parasite, protist parasite, is Entamoeba histolytica. You are able to see the diagram of life cycle of this Entamoeba histolytica. The life cycle shows trophozoite stage, that is the amoeba, and it shows binary fission and is converted into precystic form and the formation of cyst. The cyst shows chromatid bodies and the cyst becomes binucleate cyst, and this binucleate cyst again converts into quadrinucleate cyst, and quadrinucleate cyst again further matures and it forms excisement. That means the further development occurs and metacystic amoeba is formed, and after that asexual reproduction occurs and the daughter amoeba they are formed. And here by this way the life cycle of Entamoeba histolytica is completed. But after the infection of Entamoeba, what are the signs and symptoms? The signs are diarrhea, flatulence, stool with mucus, and abdominal pains, that is cramps, are common. Passing of blood with stool is also a common case in severe cases. Hepatomegaly occurs if parasite enters the liver. The liver develops amoebic liver abscesses accompanied with fever and pain in right abdomen. That is, the liver is situated in the right side of the abdomen. Now, what is the mode of transmission of this infection of Entamoeba histolytica to the human? The first route is feco-oral route. The second route is eating with dirty hands without proper washing the hands. And the third is by the contaminated food and water. What are the diagnosis and treatments in the infection of amoebiasis? Diagnosis of amoebiasis is made through microscopic examination of the stool sample. Amoebiasis is treated by the use of drugs. Those are metronidazole and tinidazole, which can destroy Entamoeba histolytica in the digestive tract as well as in other tissues. Now, what are the preventive and control measures in this case? Wash the hands with hot water and soap after using toilets and changing babies' diapers. Always drink boiled water in these conditions. Otherwise, water must be chlorinated and filtered. It means you have to drink potable water in this safe manner. Avoid eating unhygienic food, and the vegetables must be properly washed and cooked. The proper sanitary facilities including sewage disposal help in the prevention of the amoebiasis or amoebiatic dysentery. Now, these are the two diseases today we discussed. First is the malaria and second is the amoebiasis. Thank you very much.